Hey everybody, it's been a while since I've done one of these. Just got done with a week stay out at Cornudas. This is where we're staying back here at my house on the property of this small town I bought. So we spent a week out here working and had to get back to Fort Worth because I got 4 land projects going on right now. And so it's starting to get a little crazy here. 4 subdivisions in Central and West Texas, and this is something that I'm really fascinated with now, is scaling my business and doing more and more subdivisions. And what I'm beginning to realize is there's actually a ton of opportunity for myself and you guys out here for minor subdivisions. I got one going right now that's 160 acres where I'm not gonna have to do anything. I'm gonna run a surveyor out there and it will be ready to sell within a week. Basically, a couple other ones I'm doing are major subdivides, but for you beginners out there and anyone watching this, y'all need to be looking into minor subdivisions. A lot of properties out there on the MLS actually that myself and my students are finding that fit the bill for minor subdivides. So we're talking great road access, hopefully utilities, and the ability to get water with either a water line or a well. But one thing that you need to keep in mind on these minor subdivides is you really have to keep costs minimal, right? That's kind of the whole point, is just to run a surveyor out there and take, let's say, a 100-acre piece, create 10-acre lots, make sure that you're plat exempt and you don't have to go through the commissioner's court or anything like that, and then you just sell them off straight to customers, people who want to move out of the city or go use it for recreation land or whatever the case may be, right? So if you need to run a water line, the project is probably going to be killed, because if you're going to run a water line, it's probably going to cost multiple hundreds of thousands. You might as well make it a major subdivision and go through the whole process of platting and engineering and breaking it down into 1, 2, 5-acre lots. That way you can sell it more per acre on the sales side. So anytime these major improvements come into play, we need to bring the acreage lower and lower in order to make the project economic and just make it make sense. So, but there's a lot of pieces out there, and it's crazy. I get asked all the time, you know, why don't these sellers just subdivide it themselves and sell it off? And that's a great question, man. I do not know. It's not as hard as they may think. It takes maybe 10 to 20 grand, depending on the survey, sometimes less, to break these things up. One I just got done doing was 15,000. Another one I'm doing was 15,000 to get it surveyed. But we do plat maps for each individual lot. So what we'll do is we'll run a surveyor out there, have him survey off all 160 acres, have him survey off all 10 or 16 lots, whatever it is, and then create a plat map for each lot. That way each individual buyer has their meets and bounds and legal description. However, you could probably just get away with doing a plat index and not doing plats for every single lot. But I don't know why these sellers don't do it themselves, man. It is a little bit more work, and it's more work on the sales side. And a lot of them, well, pretty much all of the sellers aren't going to be able to handle it themselves. You know, I run a full-time, a full-length business where I do the sales, I do the marketing, I run the surveyors, contractors, collections, all that stuff. But if you're dealing with average Joe Schmo farmer who's a seller, he's not going to be able to sell off 10-acre pieces by himself, and he's going to have to enlist a realtor to do it. And you guys hear what I talk about with realtors all the time in the land business, not much success, right? So there's huge opportunity out there. It's an arbitrage. These sellers don't want to do it, or they don't know to do it, or can't do it, and then we just come in and do a minor subdivide and sell off smaller pieces, and all we're doing is creating smaller acreage. That's literally the only value add in this whole proposition. There was one that I was looking at. I didn't end up buying it. It was 300 acres somewhere in West Texas. And I was talking to the broker, and he's like, you know, we're having some trouble selling it. We're thinking that we're gonna survey it off and break it down. I'm like, okay, you know. Turns out he ended up only surveying it in half. He created like a 160-acre piece and like a 140-acre piece. I was like, dude, why didn't you go in and create like, you know, 7 or 8 40-acre pieces? So, but he called me, he shot me a text. He's like, you know, since we surveyed it down in acreage, we've gotten more interest, which, okay, it makes sense because now more people can afford it on the buy side, right? There's more people who can afford 150 acres at, in this case, it was about 1,300 per acre. So you're looking at like 185,000. More people can afford 185,000 as opposed to the whole thing was like 400,000 or something. So now imagine if he would have broken that down even further into 20, 40, you know, even 10-acre pieces. But the problem is if you create too many lots in some markets, it can actually be hard to sell. Like we're dealing with one right now down in Fort Stockton, Texas. It's a relatively smaller town. It's about 10,000 people, which the population is actually not that bad. 10,000 people, that's not bad for a land market from what I've seen, and because we only have like 15 lots. But the problem is Fort Stockton is like, I don't want to say it's a dying town, but there's no real growth there and there's no real attraction there. So if I sell a piece of land, you know, within 30 to 60 minutes outside of Dallas, Fort Worth, obviously the city's right there, there's plenty of jobs, plenty of growth, it's going to sell like hotcakes. Now if I go out to a place in West Texas like where I'm at now, Hudspeth County, well, no real growth, that's true, very small population, that's true. So same as Fort Stockton, this whole area, same scenario as Fort Stockton. However, this area will sell a lot better. Why? Because there's an attraction out here. This is the desert, it's cheap land, it's holding it as an investment. It's just owning a slice of Texas. You can get it real cheap. You can come out here and hunt, shoot, recreation. So it has attractions. The stuff in Fort Stockton, yes, small market, yes, you know, not really that much growth. I would be fine with both of those, but it's kind of missing that third component of what is going to attract someone to actually buy a piece of land. It's pretty much in the city limits of Fort Stockton. You can't really hunt or shoot, or it's not entirely super cheap just to say you own a piece of Texas, so there's no real highlight selling point to it. With that being said, like I said, I think we had 20 lots out there. We've got like, it's 8 or 9 of them. We've got 8 or 9 of them sold in 6 months. So yeah, it's gonna take a little bit longer. A typical project like this would probably sell out in 3 to 4 months, but this one's probably gonna take a year, maybe a year and a half. So I'm still gonna make a bunch of money. It's funny, every time these projects come up like this, I get nervous still, like, is it gonna sell? Did I make the right decision? And I was definitely feeling that in this case, but you know, even after a year, I think pretty much all of this is going to be sold. So that's pretty cool. Any market you can really do this in is what I'm saying. And that was a minor subdivision as well. It was 250 acres. And the owner, actually, her husband passed away, and they were gonna subdivide it themselves, but after her husband passed away, they didn't want to subdivide it anymore into smaller lots. And so in steps me, big opportunity with an arbitrage there, and you know, just to survey and sell off all the lots. So 1 or 2 minor subdivides can you know, make you multi 6 figures. It's a really good place to start, and even if you're an advanced subdivider like me, it's still a great option. Here, let's walk and talk a little bit. I'm gonna show you this place. This is our dump behind me. It's kind of been grandfathered in, although I don't use it. I'm told it's grandfathered in. I don't know if that's actually true. I'm not using it anymore. There's my house. Back there's the motel. You can't really see it, but right behind me here is all these mountains. The Cornudas Mountains themselves run behind here. So we come out here, we've been fixing this place up. It's almost ready to go. It's been 6 months now. Almost ready to go. And when we're out here, I just run the land business from here. Got a little office and my house. It's a mobile home. It's a double wide out here. I think it's about 2,200 square foot, 4 bed, 3 bath. Pretty nice. So we run the business from out here. So that's kind of what's on my mind. I figured I'd hop on for this little land talk. Minor subdivides, many projects going on. Working with a lot of you guys on projects, and land business, even with the economy and craziness going on, is still performing better than ever.